Hello everyone and welcome back to another video by Flight at Sim. Today I'm going to show you a full cold and dark startup tutorial of the 737-800. So let's get into it. Of course you'll see in a second. Here we are. So as you can see, we're in a cold and dark cockpit. All the instruments are dark. I'm just going to hit the EFB just as a preference. To make this nice and simple, we're going to slide right and look over at the overhead, and simply going to close this right here, and now we have power. Now we are going to pop down to the FMC and request ground power from the ground crew. To do that, we'll click on FS Actions, Ground Services, and request ground power. It'll arrive in a couple of seconds. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to go up here and switch these over to nav, two clicks to the right, and also window heat and probe heat. Here we go. Ground power is now here, so I'll turn that on. Ground power available, so we can click that. That bell's telling us there's not power in the aircraft, and close the emergency exit lights. Our next step is to turn on the fuel pump, and this one. If we had center fuel in the center tanks, and when the gauges turn on, you'll see we will turn on one of these. But for now, we're just going to start the APU, so turn it to the start position, and let it start up. This gauge over here indicates it should stabilize around 4 in a second. Our landing altitude that we'll be landing at, we'll just say is 200 feet. And our cruise altitude, let's say it's flight level 330, so we would set that to 330 for pressurization. Next we would turn on our lights, our logo light, and make sure this is on steady. You can also turn on the other lights as necessary. As you can see, the APU is coming alive. We are going to turn on the hydraulic pumps, and we are going to align. As you can see, our gauges are now on. So yes, we do have center fuel, so we will turn on one of these fuel pumps. It's not that necessary, but sometimes it is. Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to go down here and turn on, we're going to go to FMC, pause in it, and simply take our last position and insert it down here. This is where we will put in an airport, so we're at Atlanta, KATL, and set this here. And basically now these are aligned and we will have GPS. Now is a good time to set your altimeter. So I just did that by clicking B, and since this is all good and ready to go, we can start the engines. First you're going to want to do is set up your pushback. I have this cool tool from flightsim.2, link in the description. But what you're going to want to do once it loads is select a position behind your aircraft, obviously, and we'll just say we'll face this way, and just make it good. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course, but that's how it should be done. Okay, there's our position, so we'll hit enter, request pushback, and of course, there's the tow truck coming. The next step is to go over to our APU, so let's flick these. We're on the APU now. We're going to turn on the APU bleed, and we are going to disconnect from ground power, so basically the same way that we connected to it originally. So FS Actions, Ground Services, and Release. Now you can also release your chocks, and that will make your plane ready for push and start. Good idea to go over to the FMC, and I usually have it on the legs page, but we're not doing a route, so it won't quite matter. If you need light during this, these are the light switches over here, as you can see, and they just make it so you can see. Okay, sorry about the lag, guys. Push truck is ready, so we're going to flick on our other fuel pumps. We're going to release, or set the parking brake. And we would also turn on our auto throttle, our LNAV, and our VNAV if we were doing a real flight. Okay, the next step here, now that we have all that connected, he clears for push and start. We're going to turn on the yaw damper. Okay, Now we gotta release the parking brake. Parking brake released. Okay, he gave us clearance to start the engines. So we're gonna start the right engine first, turning it over to ground. That will begin that sequence over there. And if we look down, the big part here is you gotta wait until this N2 turns to 26%, or if you put in the fuel too early, you could kill the engine. So wait for it to turn to 26%, and it usually stabilizes around 30. Okay, so there's 26, we can turn in the fuel. And we'll just wait for that to start up through procedure. Okay, after that is done, we can turn on, let's see, just make sure, like, if you want your lights on, of course, all of this can work through it. Fasten seatbelt sign, of course, we would have on. If you guys like this type of content, remember to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you want to see any more tutorials. Otherwise, then the only next step is to set this over to ground. As this went over auto, you can tell the engine is started. Okay, this engine is coming alive too. 10%, 12, and it just keeps coming. So we'll just wait a second. Push and start has stopped. Set the parking brake. 26%. Fuel going in. Lowering the aircraft. And we're good. There goes the tow truck. Okay. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, we can get rid of this now. And our plane is basically ready to go. Flip back, and now our aircraft is ready for taxi, so we can release the brakes and add in some power. Now, as you can see, our plane is taxiing. If you guys enjoyed, please remember to like and subscribe, and I hope that your 737 is able to fly now.